So now we have to let people know that our podcast exists, such as our friends and family, so we can immediately share these via posting to our social media profiles or sending it via email. So let's go through the options here.
Letting people know about your podcast is really about sharing it through the many distribution points that are available to you today. For instance, we have social media: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. There are many places where you can share your podcast and share it in a way that helps to grow your audience and helps to grow your followers. For instance, if you have a business whereby, for instance, let's say you're a coach, you probably have a website, you probably have a number of social media profiles where you put out content and information. This is the perfect vehicle to put your content, to put your podcast links to, whereby your listeners can engage with it and new people can also find it as well. Now, the app itself makes it pretty easy to share information, to share your podcast. All you have to do is locate this box here with the arrow pointing up, and when you click it, it provides you with a number of ways in which you can share your podcast, whether it be through WhatsApp, by emailing it to people, by sending it to people with your messages, or if you have other social media apps like Twitter, Facebook, you can also utilize those apps to share your content. So this is just a basic way to get your information across. Let's look at some other ways. Let's dive into some ways that you can improve the shareability and the growth of your podcast when you start it. Think about your audience. Think about who you're making this podcast for. They want to be humored, they want to be inspired, they want to be educated. Now, you focusing on your niche, you're able to offer those, you're able to educate, you're able to inspire, you're able to deliver humor. And let's say you're not even funny. Simply from the fact that you're educating, simply from the fact that you're offering advice from your experiences, that's gonna be enough to move your podcast into the sphere where it needs to exist. Make titles that are descriptive, shareable, and compelling, because your titles are what generally people use in addition to the picture or image that you use with your podcast to decipher if they're going to engage with your podcast or not. So you want to make it compelling, descriptive, and shareable. And really thinking about your audience, thinking about that one person who is listening to your podcast, putting yourself in their shoes. What's going to be compelling enough for them when they see the title to say, hey, I want to click on this. Now, let's go back to the example I made earlier about imagine you being a coach targeting women who are seeking to reach a new level in their careers. Well, if that's the case, then your titles should be geared and targeted and optimized towards that particular audience in terms of what they would see that may help them. I can go into many different examples, but I'm sure you can think of something that will resonate with that particular audience if that's your niche. So you being in your shoes, being able to put yourself in another person's shoes will help you put together something that will be enticing and valuable, like I talked about earlier. Think of your podcast as a restaurant. It doesn't matter how good the branding or the marketing is, if the food sucks, that restaurant is going to go out of business. And this is where I really stress on you focusing on what you know, focusing on your niche, because you're going to be able to draw from many of your experiences, many of your life events in order to tell a story, to inspire people, to educate people from what you know, from what you experienced. And you yourself, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be the top level chef or the top level master class, whatever. You simply have to speak from where you are, and you're going to have an audience that resonates with that. The key here is to start and focus on what you know.